Sonic the Hedgehog. A series that has more or less been a part of my childhood for as long as I can remember, even at its worst moments, and through watching videos from creators like CommentJ64, Some Call Me Johnny, and GabutterMiney456 over the years. I was able to learn about a lot of Sonic games that I didn't know existed at the time, like Sonic 3D Blast or Sonic R. That did not stop me from being bad at them as a kid. Fun fact about my first time playing Sonic 2. I did not get past Emerald Hell because I didn't know how to play video games at the age of 3. Though, granted, there are some elements that I still remember not liking about Sonic 2. I'll probably save that for a potential Sonic 2 video of some kind. But enough about Sonic 2. Let's get back to today's video, which is Sonic 1. Mostly about the 8-bit version developed and released by Hedgehog in 1991. In 1990, Sega released the Game Gear, an 8-bit handheld designed to compete with Nintendo's Game Boy that was released in 1989. Itself set apart from Nintendo's bulky Great Brick of Doom by having a colored backward screen and unique set of games only to its hardware, like impressive ports of Genesis games such as Gunstar Heroes and Rise Star, the original titles like GG Shinobi, GG Alesta, Savalian Tale, The Shining Duology, for some reason a truckload of Monogatari games and Puyo Puyo games that can honestly kill a man from how many there are, and a whole ton of many more. However, it did little to sway consumers because the Game Boy dominated the market in sales and relevancies with his pack-in title Tetris, along with not being a complete battery-wasting, sucking, crack-addicted vampire that consumed 6 batteries within 4 hours. The Game Boy will go on selling over 118.69 million units worldwide, while the Gear only sold a measly 10.62 million units worldwide. Around the same time, while the Gear is out getting ganked by the Game Boy, Sonic Team was working on Sonic 1 for the Genesis, and Sega wanted to increase consumer awareness of the Game Gear by producing a version of Sonic for the system. So what did they do for this conundrum? They got freaking Yuzo Koshiro to do the job. You know, the same guy that is best known for his soundtracks for this. Bit of a side note, this is the last, as I know of, licensed game released for the Master System in North America, making this game that region's song song for the console. The reason being is that the Master System had failed to gain a foothold in North America because the NES's absolute dominance and marketing. Lots and lots of marketing. In a funny way, it makes the game into a sort of transition point for both the Master System and Genesis. The last game that bookends an era of Sega that was playing second fiddle to Nintendo, at least in America, and the game that begins an era where Sega was giving Nintendo a run for their money, at least in home consoles at the time. Again, in America. In fact, aside from a few things, this is a game that I massively enjoyed even though it came from a subset of classic Sonic games that a lot of people didn't really play originally. In fact, you'll be surprised that the Game Gear has a whopping 12 Sonic games released between 1991 all the way to 1996. A full 5-year run of games ranging from 5 traditional 2D Sonic experiences and 7 spin-offs. 2 of them being cut-down Genesis ports of Sonic Spinball and Dr. Robotnik being Beam Machine. Emphasis on cut down. Along with the massive rabbit hole that is Puyo Puyo 1 ports and localization issues respectively. See more in these videos on me right now for more information on the subject. Now, I have some experience with some of these games, as these were some of my early experiences of playing handheld Sonic, as well as just Sonic in general. Apart from the Sonic Advance trilogy, Sonic Rush, Sonic Gen's 3DS, and the Sonic cartoon Sans Sonic X, but I'll save those for a later time. Most of my experiences came from mainly playing a few of these games through the 3DS eShop. rest in peace, and Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the PS2. As I grew up on handhelds and I got my PS2 from an upperclassmate back when I was in middle school. I should probably get to actually play more of the library someday, but there are some titles that I need to learn more about. But anyway, well, I did play most of the Sonic games that were packaged on Mega Collection Plus, barring the unlockable games, because that is just cruel and unusual punishment. I always gravitated to Sonic 1 8-bit, and I don't really know the reason why. So why don't we take a little bit of a look and see. This is Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Master System and Game Gear. Let's begin. Sonic the Hedgehog 8-bit has the same plot as the 16-bit version. The evil Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik has kidnapped a bunch of animals to power his robot army to find the 6 Chaos Emeralds so he can take over the world. Your job as Sonic is to defeat Robotnik and save your animal friends from his evil, eggy plans. Now, the only plot difference between the two games is the fact that the Chaos Emeralds do jack squat in the Master System version other than to raise your score at the end of the game. Other than that, the game has a simple plot, almost as simple as the princess getting captured for the millionth time in a row. I mean, sure, the graphics are simple compared to a 16-bit console successor. You know, the more you look at it, the more you begin to question how they got such a game such as Sonic on the 8-bit system like the Master System. Agent must have realized that porting the original game to the 8-bit system one-to-one was very much impossible to do, and decided to make their own version of Sonic from scratch, which is why it's so different from the 16-bit original when comparing the two that it's not even funny. Green Hill Zone is a very iconic zone, that much is a fact. But how much can an 8-bit? It sort of makes a decent translation to the 8-bit system well, although a little bit simplified. Act 1, you can literally steamroll it by going down the hill, and right where you're about to launch, press up and you can watch as you zoom past so fast that the camera cannot be able to follow you. At least in the Master System version, where you can be able to keep this up and then you can get to the end stage without any worries. The Game Gear version stops at the Spike Pit, but that's about it. Green Hill Act 2 is very different, as the level takes place mostly underground and you have to climb up and out. It does have a branched out path where it leads you to a Chaos Emerald, and unlike the 16-bit version, the emeralds are not required to get an anticlimactic ending that literally does nothing much for the game other than that it's nothing to write home about. The only thing is that there is no loops in this entire game at all. Like, nothing at all. And that's so weird because loops are one of the most defining set pieces of Sonic that separates him from the rest of the pack, especially Mario, you know, his main console rival at the time. When you remove that, it just feels sort of nothing. Like, it makes Sonic into a standard cookie-cutter 2D platformer. Now, when we get to the boss stage, this is where one of my bigger problems with the game rears its ugly head. When it comes to bosses, there are literally no rings. I mean, like, seriously. There is no rings at all. I mean, what happened to them? Did they just take a vacation to another Sonic game, or what? And this is so frustrating because some of these bosses have the most annoying attacks ever that are a pain to avoid. And if you don't avoid them, you lose a life. But anyway, the first boss gimmick is literally nothing. Robotnik just flies around in his Eggmobile, and when he gets to the other side, he lowers himself down and flies off. And all you have to do is wait when he lowers himself down, and you're pretty much golden because you can just dwell on him as he goes down. I got to admit, I like the 16-bit version of the Green Hill fight, because granted, while the fight is easy too, you can at least end it quickly and just get hits on him, and at least you don't have to, like, wait around. Unless you play the Game Gear version. Because this fight is a lot easier than the Master System version, because the screen size actually compact a lot of Robotnik's waiting time, so you can hit him as you go around and you don't have to wait for him to lower down, making this boss a complete non-issue. But other than that, it's Green Hill Zone. What can I say, then it's different from 16-bit Green Hill Zone. Now, the next two zones that I'm about to talk about are the 2 out of 3 original zones that are exclusive to the 8-bit rendition of this game. And these have never been used in any other Sonic game to date. Let's start with Bridge Zone, the second zone of the game. And it also has one of the catchiest songs in the entire game. I mean, take a listen. is one song that deserved to be on a Best of Sonic 8-bit music collection, because, oh my goodness, this is good stuff. And again, considering that we're dealing with Yuzo Koshiro here, you can expect fantastic music from someone of his pedigree. I mean, granted, he did convert some of Nakamura's Sonic score to the 8-bit chip, with, like, again, with the title screen, Green Hill Zone, and apparently an unused Marble Zone conversion. The remainder of music, also still retaining the feel of the Genesis version, is still Koshiro's work. What's not so good stuff is the second act of the stage, because it introduced the one and only auto-scrolling level of the game, and this makes the game chug like the pits, man. Sure, it's not like something like Mega Man 1 style of chugs, but it is bad. Now, we head to the boss of Bridge Zone, and it differs between the Master System and Game Gear version. In the Master System version, you have two different platforms a la Marble Zone, and you bounce between each other, hoping that he does not get you with his bullets that always seem to follow you wherever you are. However, in the Game Gear version, you have a bridge that is a lot safer to hit him from, or rolling from the bottom without worry. With rolling from the bottom without worried. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. I hate this boss. The Game Gear version specifically, because the fact that for some reason, I just keep on losing so many lives and continue due to the fact that the hit detection for this boss is really spotty. Like, I can get a few hits before the frames come back and I die. And this is what I mean by not having the rings here makes the boss very annoying to beat, because of this. And this was a main reason I lost so many continues in the Game Gear version. Especially considering that there is no shields at all, so that means you have to do this with one hit. The Master System was absolutely no problem for me, and I didn't even have to move on to the higher platforms for this one. I mean, take a look. Jungle Zone is more platform heavy, with you needing to be careful with how you jump because it is easy to fall to your death. There is a gimmick for Act 1 where you roll on logs to get to the other side on some parts of it, but Act 2 is more of a crapshoot because in the Master System version, you can get yourself killed by touching the bottom of any platform, which can guzzle up your lives if you're not careful, aka Contra Syndrome. Game Gear Jungle Act 2 does not have this issue at all, so it's just a simple climb up the stage to the top. Although there is more elites to face in GG Act 1, this boss zone is a variation of the Starlight boss where it's just Robotnik dropping cannonballs on the platform and will go side to side. The Master System is the toughest version of the two because of the screen resolution. Due to the fact that there's more space in the area where the boss battle takes place, meaning that if you overshoot your jumps, you're going to die right then and there. In fact, the cannonballs actually got me more because I always try to at least overcorrect my jumps and everything like that, and that's why I didn't really like the Master System version of this boss. The Game Gear version is a different story because of the fact that the screen size makes the pit death part a non-issue, and the boss is an absolute joke because of this. Overall, I did not like the boss in the Master System version. Game Gear, alright. Let me cut to the chase. Labyrinth Zone sucks. It sucks in the 16-bit version. It really sucks in the 8-bit version. Slowdown abundant, poor visibility is constant, annoying placement that can get you killed, the boss is annoying too with the missiles that can kill you, slow movement is solid, the narrow pits which lead to more death. This has all the recipes of possibly being one of the worst boss and zones of classic Sonic, 16-bit or 8-bit wise. I mean, granted, it's not as bad as 16-bit Lab or worse, Blue Marine Zone and Sonic Blast, but it is pretty bad. Also, if you get the Chaos Emerald in the second act, then you need an invisibility probably up because the Emerald is in a better spite, in the Master System at least. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, that having any rings in this game means that if you get hit once, that means you lose all your rings and you can't pick them back up. Although in the Game Gear version, this was changed the Emerald was changed from being in the spikes from being under the spikes. So there's a free Emerald to grab before you head to the exit. Scrapping Zone has got to be one of those zones that always amaze me. The zone amazes me and how different it is in the difficulty depending on the version of the game which you play. Take a look at both the 16-bit and 8-bit version side by side, and the difference are night and day. Well, 8-bit scrap brain is a spring breeze. 16-bit scrap brain wants you dead at every waking moment of the runtime. Anyway, the final zone of this act. The final act of the zone is literally you trying to reach the top, and it ends with Robotnik basically escaping via a sky elevator to the final zone. Sky-based zone is the final zone and the third original zone of the game. The first zone is an act that you're trying to board on a ship. Only if your full reception then diverts your head from the screen, while trying to avoid these electric fields that could and would hurt you if you did not time your jumps correctly and get to places that isn't affected by the electrical field. And it's not really too much of bad of a build-up to the final zone. The second act is literally going to have you dead. I mean, bullets shoot at you, propeller spinning fast to catch the rivet. It sort of feels shorter straight out of Mario's airship level from Mario 3. Although you can skip all of this for the most part, because if you want the emerald, you just have to drop on this platform and do what I'm doing in this footage right now. But afterwards, we reach the final boss. The final boss boils down to a sort of rain game where you must wait for the right moment to jump into him. Eventually, the layers will track you as you go past it and will activate to kill you. Admittedly, this boss killed me with this attack quite a few times before I finally beat it, but that was about it. Although the Game Gear is actually a bit of a pushover. Granted, I got killed because I rushed in too fast and lost a few lives due to a rising fire in this version, but that was about it. And that was Sonic 1 for the Master System / Game Gear. In all honesty, after revisiting the game for the video, I still love it just as much as the original, although for different reasons. While sure the Genesis version is a lot more iconic for its speed, the more iconic set of stages, music, and overall aesthetic, I love the 8-bit version providing an alternative experience from the original, despite being really short, like almost an hour and a half shorter than 16-bit Sonic's 2.5 hours of playtime. But that's probably an over-evaluation on my half while writing this episode. If you want to play the game for yourself, then you have plenty of options, although with a few caveats. The Master System version, while having a higher resolution than the Game Gear version, is not released at all in a few other places compared to the handheld version. There's also the condition that Jungle Zone is a factor into this, such as Act 2 having Conquer Syndrome and the Jungle Zone boss absolutely sucking as a boss. The most notable re-release of the Master System version is the Wii Virtual Console. Considering that service is dead and buried 6 feet underground Nintendo's graveyard, yeah, emulation for this version is a must if you want to play it. The Game Gear version, in comparison, was released on various different collections and services throughout the years. This list has included, but not limited to, Sonic Adventure DX on the Game Gear, Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the PS2 and Xbox, the 3DS Virtual Console, rest in peace, and more recently, Sonic Origins Plus, for various different modern consoles and PC. But again, the Game Gear version also has the Bridge Zone boss, which sucks. However, you're not limited to just those two, and the other collections as well. There's also Sonic SMS Remake, created by one Creative Aria. This game basically takes Game Gear Sonic 1 and stretch it further with many more things added to it, like adding in new characters such as Tails, Knuckles, Mighty, and Raids with extra abilities. It gives Sonic the Super Peel Out from Sonic CD, and the drops back from Sonic Mania, Sonic Superstar, and whichever game that allows it to have a drop dash. It also retrofitted Marble Zone, Spring Yard Zone, and Starlight Zone, 16-bit Sonic 1. It also added with the Super Form, along with changing the Chaos Emeralds to being in the special stages instead of being out and about like the original 8-bit version. And along with that, you also have Creative Aria making remakes of Sonic SMS 2 and a Sonic 3 SMS remake in development as of me writing this. There's also Sonic 1 Forever Expanded, a mod of Sonic 1 Forever that takes all the original zones from the 8-bit games and put them in the base 16-bit version. Although this mod also added in an additional zone called Rocky Mountain Zone, which has the most aggressive sounding song that I heard out of anything from the Sega Genesis. And that's saying something because I heard the Spinball option music. Anyway, this mod is just its game with the 8-bit levels tacked on in the order kind of the Master System version. I say kind of because Rocky Mountain is in between Marble Zone and Jungle Zone. And also another thing is that instead of the usual Sonic 1 special stage system where it's 50 rings, you reach the end of the stage and then you get to the special stage, instead it uses the Sonic 1 special stage system of finding the special ring, then doing the special stage. I feel sort of mixed on this because, well, there are some of the original stages that were modified in order to compensate for this change as sort of a homage to how 8-bit Sonic 1 does things where you have to find the emerald out and about in the stage. On the other hand, I feel like the system was not designed for these stages at all, except for stages that were ported over, i.e. British Zone, Jungle Zone, and technically Rocky Mountain Zone, because those stages were completely redone and they do not resemble their Master System version at all. However, I did accidentally found a way to get all the emeralds without having to find any other special stage ring.
Of course, it screwed me over.
I wonder if I can exit. Let's see. Okay, so jump here, jump here, jump here. Okay, I jump here, right down here. Okay, yeah, okay, thankfully it can respawn, so I don't have to deal with the whole thing where, because of the fact that I accidentally died in Bridge Zone Act 2, or maybe Act 3, and then I went back and I found out that unlike Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where as soon as you get finished with a special stage where you win or lose it, these can actually respawn. So I was able to get all the Chaos Emeralds and everything like that without breaking that sweat. Although I didn't try out Super Sonic and Prince Zone because I forgot to enable it in the settings before I actually played through the entire game. Along with Spin Dash, which means I completely played this entire version of Sonic 1 Forever Expanded completely vanilla. I am probably not going to attempt to do that again. But besides that, there is not really a wrong way to play Sonic 1 8-bit. Honestly, it's something that you should give a try to see how Sonic Start in the Hedgehog space got started. Granted, there are a few warts on the face, but it's still a fun game to play, and I still recommend that it's still good. Hey everyone, thank you for watching this video. I know it's been a while since the last one, and I kind of wanted to do something relatively simple to get back into the swing of things. If you liked what you saw, give it a like. And besides that, check out my other video that I made a while back on a few other games. And if you like what my work is showing so far, why not give it a subscribe? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you!